Hello, everyone, and yeah, this is something that is going to be a bit different because unfortunately there is no other members of Daybreak here, but something that I would do on my old channel a lot whenever me and a friend would finish an RPG that we both really, really liked, we would do an impressions video on it. So if you actually cared to see what one of the members of Daybreak thought of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, here you go. So joining me is a very good friend of mine, Jordan. You can find him over at Jordan's Picture Place.
I mean, you got it wrong, but damn, I'm honored you would call me a good friend.
Yes, you are.
I
Even
feel
though,
like all of these years have finally paid off.
yeah, we're a couple of strange ones about that sort of thing, but that's a whole other besides the point. So, yeah, we have both completed Xenoblade 2. I got it midnight, day of release, and all that. But before we start giving you our impressions on the game itself, I wanted to talk a bit about like the whole build up for this game because I believe I am the only one out of the both of us who has played and beaten the original Xenoblade.
I mean, I have played, and I have seen it finished.
Yeah. But yeah, so I beat the original a few years ago, and I said it was one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and I still stand by that statement. I've been actually replaying it since I finished Xenoblade 2, just kind of see how they've stacked up. And there are definitely things in the original I still prefer over this one, but overall, I would probably kind of say I preferred this one to the original. So, to get this out of the way, also, you do not need to play any other game in the Xeno series in order to understand this game's story. That's something that sometimes people get a bit like, I don't know if I can get into this because it's a sequel. You can jump into this. There is a few references to Xenoblade and other few games in the Xeno series, but you are just fine going straight into this completely blind. But yeah, when this game was originally announced at the January Switch event last year, I I was in tears because, like I said, I loved the original Xenoblade so much, and to get a pretty much a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time was just like through the freaking roof. I mean, at that same direct thing, we had announced No More Heroes 3, which me and Jordan were both very excited about and still are. Um,
Can
but
I be excited about a game that's had no news so far?
yeah,
Can
you
I
can
really,
still.
John?
Yes, you can. You could still be excited for games that
But
are
I'm too
that are
dead inside.
that have been in dead silence for ages. But so yeah, so I kept saying all throughout, and you'll be definitely hearing this throughout on Daybreak whenever we get to uploading more Batman stuff and a bit of Spectre Knight as well. I kept saying that Xenoblade 2 was not going to come out this year because, I mean, this is Nintendo, and delays are their thing when it comes to like the really big games. And for this game to have come out in the same year it was announced, and it still deliver all the hype that I had set for it, to me, just it spoke so like much to me that, you know, I'm glad Nintendo is really getting like on the ball with this stuff. Like, they're announcing games and they're coming out the same year, and they still have that great quality Nintendo charm and just great games in general, you know.
I mean, let's not give Nintendo the credit for Monolith Soft's work, but
Yeah, but you got. I'm just saying, like, if a game that's exclusive on their platform and a game again as big as Xenoblade is like that was announced in the same year and it was released worldwide, I believe, on the same day, and that to me is just incredible to see after everything that happened with the Wii U. Even though I still like the Wii U, but the Switch has become probably a tie for my favorite Nintendo console of all time so far, and it's only going to get better as we go along. But Jordan, what is it that got you to play the game? Because like I played the original, of course, and like loved it to death. So I'm kind of curious to see like what it is that brought you to first off get a Switch and then buy this game for it too.
My masochism for gacha hell. I don't know. I just felt like playing a JRPG, and I would relate it to how things were. I think about 2 years ago, maybe 3. I don't know, when I got a PS4, because I was depressed as fuck and was like, I want to play Disgaea 5. So I dropped less money to buy a PS4 and Disgaea 5. Which is it's a different fucking topic, I tell you what. I can go on all night about how the Switch costs way too much for what it is. That and one of the conditions that I'd set to for if I was gonna buy a Switch was a limited edition console, which it was. So I didn't break my terms, and that was the most important part this whole time. Because No More Heroes 3 isn't out yet, so
yeah. Because you bought the Super Mario Odyssey edition, right?
Yeah. Correct. I just wanted the red Joy-Cons. And then I bought the collector's edition of Xenoblade 2 because I wanted that art book.
Which
it's nice.
Which, to go over that limited edition, because I had that pre-ordered along with the controller too. Because I didn't have a Pro controller yet, so as soon as I saw that one, I'm like, it's $5 more for this controller versus like a normal Pro controller. I'll go ahead and just get this and be fine with it. But I had to end up canceling my pre-order due to just money at the time was not good, but I still had enough to get the base game and the controller itself. So I'm still happy that, I was able to get one of the 2 limited editions, and I still can get it. It's not super expensive yet, so maybe sometime in the future I might actually
I don't see much of a reason why it would be necessarily. Like, it's not the kind of collector's edition that has much as far as a collectible goes.
Yeah, it's nothing like the Tales Collector series that we're used to. You
could argue it comes with significantly less, but at the same time, price-wise, it actually kind of adds up because it is a good full art book, which I appreciate over literally any other video game art book, either being
30 pages.
I think Xillia 2 came with an A4 art book, which was nice, but it was maybe 64. No, I think it was 78 pages. It was hardback, so that was a minor plus, I suppose. Or just a fucking booklet.
Yeah, the art book did intrigue me a bit, but I really wanted the sound selection CD the most because, like I said, I love Xenoblades. Xenoblade is one of my favorite games of all time, obviously, but so is the soundtrack. It is one of my favorite soundtracks in any video game I've ever played. It's definitely in the top, I'd say even 5, personally. But when I saw it was one of those sound selection CDs, I'm not a big fan of those.
Why? The real question at this point, John, is why would you think it would be anything else?
Well, the Xenoblade Chronicles X did come with the full soundtrack if you bought the limited edition. Granted,
did it come with anything else?
It came with an art book. I don't know exactly how many things it was, but you got the full soundtrack for Xenoblade Chronicles X, which, even though in terms of the Xenoblade series, it's not my favorite because I only put a guy.
Don't like Sawano, or?
I wasn't a big fan of the gameplay and I
thought you meant soundtrack wise.
Oh no. I
can understand actual game wise because
but
I shat on that game a bunch too.
But Xenoblade Chronicles X has a phenomenal soundtrack. I just that was the full soundtrack versus when the Xenoblade 2 limited edition we didn't get that.
Yeah.
But
that was most of my point.
But even going back into it though, talking now about the actual game. This game to me has surpassed a bit the amount of hype that I set for it very, very easily, to the point where it was my second favorite game of last year, easily. The only reason it wasn't number 1 is because Breath of the Wild, to me, a Zelda fan, just changed everything for the better in so many different ways, and it's still a game I love replaying again and again and again. That's the only reason I know.
A brief aside for that statement. I feel like the reason that you feel that way is because you're a Zelda fan, but also because you like Far Cry. You really like Far Cry, and it's gone in that sort of direction, but still keeping the Zelda skin. Whereas actual Zelda fans I know are like, yeah, don't feel strongly about Breath of the Wild becoming a Ubisoft open world game, but with a bit more polish.
I don't know about that, but like to me, this game beat out Persona 5 even in terms of like my favorite RPGs of last year. And like, not to say I hated Persona 5 or anything like that, because you know that is very far from the fucking point. But I feel as if I was more in tune with this game's exploration and the combat as well as the story.
Because this. No, go on. I'll let you finish before I get to
I was going to say, because, like, Persona 5, I love, with really the Persona games in general, I love the social link aspect of it. I really love getting to, like, know the characters.
You love the visual novel aspect of it.
Yes, and with Xenoblade 2, I love the whole package. There's not one, like, gameplay thing I don't like, other than, like, one little thing that's meant for Poppy, but we'll get into that a bit later. But everything else, though, I loved about this game. Like, easily,
I mean,
one of the best games I've ever played.
Like, the main sort of aside... Fine, wrong word. The main sort of reason that I don't really... And I told you this before, the reason I don't really compare it much with Persona is because Persona is a totally different experience. Because Persona's not as heavy as an RPG as it is a visual novel with RPG aspects, versus Xenoblade obviously actually just being an RPG, and then, you know, right down to, they interact with speech bubbles and actual cutscenes. Whereas Persona we interact by a visual novel and some visual novel.
It's more or less for me and you as a comparison. To us, it's another Tales game, because that is that's like our like bread and butter.
Which
RPG
is part
series.
of why I wanted to get it, because for me it didn't feel like I had that sort of RPG since Berseria.
Yeah, and I still didn't finish.
Which again
Berseria.
is what I sort of said.
I didn't get to finish Berseria.
I
have to replay the game anyway because my PS4 died, but that's a whole other discussion for another time. But
understandable.
But like, so going into this, like starting off with the story, something that this game and the original Xenoblade definitely have in common is that the story is very... Well, no, I'd say Xenoblade 1 actually has a bit more of a better opening, because you start off with the war with the Mechon and Holmes and Sword Valley, and Danban is like going to fight the Mechon. So you get that really kick-ass opening, versus Xenoblade 2, which is way more about like just setting up the world and getting to know the characters and stuff like that. But I was fascinated with the world to begin with when it was first starting out. I still think Xenoblade 1 overall has the better world, because at the time when I played it, it was just like unlike anything I'd ever heard of. Like these creatures all living together on two titans, and that's pretty much been the whole world that they've ever known. Versus in this game,
because the thing is, this game is a bunch of people living on more than two titans.
Yeah, and I understand that, and like the titans themselves,
which I do appreciate that sort of through line with the series.
Yeah.
Though I don't know about X.
X doesn't really use it that often. There are titan creatures, but you don't live on them.
Which is another reason why I was kind of turned off with X. Not that I would have got it anyway, because it was on the Wii U.
But like I liked the original world for Xenoblade 1 just a tad bit more. But the world in Xenoblade 2 is very varied. It is just so much fun to explore. There's tons and tons of side quests. Like, there is a lot to do in this game. And that's not even like going over like the blades you can collect and all that stuff, the mercenary missions, which I tried to max that shit out immediately. It's there's just so much to do in this game, but I still feel it doesn't overbear the player, even though there's so much.
That is probably because they streamlined a lot of it.
And I know you said you weren't really a big fan of that, but
I don't mind too much. There are certain there are a lot of flaws with the game.
Yes, and I mean I can't
to put it simply for now.
I'm shit. I just lost my train of thought.
Got him.
What was I saying?
About gameplay.
Oh yeah, so yeah, they really did streamline a lot of things for this title versus the original Xenoblade, which even then is like going back to it, and like granted, I know how the RPG system works, but I've tried to get other friends in the Xenoblade 1 and it just doesn't work because they're not really a big fan of the battle system. While with this game, I feel it's much easier to get into because they streamlined it as much as they did, and I actually prefer the combat system.
As is the point of streamlining.
but I actually prefer this combat system over the original because I love, like, even though it is very simple to like get the hang of it, what you can do with it is just so much fun. I love the blade combos. I love getting to see all these different attacks build up to one ultra like explosion attack that then can be set up for a chain attack and then do more damage. It's just so much fun, and combat in this game, like there are games that like Bravely Default where I hear a lot for the praise of it is like, you know, the combat system is like really fun. Combat's never boring. But in those games, because again, they're really longer games, not really a big fan of that. You can say it's the best RPG system in the world, but the story is not driving my attention as much as the gameplay is, then that's not really, to me, a good argument. Because, unlike Bravely Default, Xenoblade 2's entire story, to me, is interesting throughout the entire run. And because of that, the gameplay to me is always fun to do. I loved hunting monsters. I loved just getting to try different combos and different blades and jobs that you could combine with all these characters. And that's something that I feel is really awesome about this game, is that you can make any character or any type of class you want and it works. And unlike other games that have like a job system, which I'm not always the biggest fan of, in this game it feels like it's way easier to manage and you're not going to make as many mistakes because of it. With something
assuming that you give them all blades of the same role.
Well, I actually made my party members mostly were kind of defensive tanks, with Rex being a speedy fighter, and Nia and Morak kind of playing more support roles. So like it's really, to me, interesting that you can set the party up however you want. Like some are better
if you give them all blades of the same role.
Nah,
give them one attacker and they'll switch to that rather than healing you when you're dying.
Well, like I said,
one of the game's flaws is that the AI isn't that great.
It is much, much better than Xenoblade 1. I promise you that. Because going back to that game, and how many times I've tried to get an enemy to topple when I've set up a break, and then Ryan is not toppling them, it's really, really annoying. And in this game, they do it pretty much right away. That, and it also helps the fact that you can topple in this game instead of having to wait for someone else to do it. But I think the AI overall like is much better in this game than Xenoblade 1, and there are very, very rare times I felt that the AI was acting stupid and wasn't doing what I wanted them to do. There are times that yes, that will happen, but it's very few and far between in my experience.
Assuming that all the blades have the same roles. Which I will continue to press because that is a very important thing to keep in mind when you play. Because if you want them, don't have them try and be around it everything, because they don't know when to focus healing. That, and if you want them to be a dedicated healer, it's probably a lot better, because if they have all blades, they can just switch to another and actually heal you more.
Yeah, that's what I had to do towards the final ends of the game when you heard me bitching left, right, and sideways at the boss rush.
I don't agree with you that it's a boss rush, but we can get there like nearer the end.
Yeah.
Not spoil anything.
Well, it also happened in the original Xenoblade as well, so yeah. Anyway, so we've talked a bit about the gameplay and things that we liked and also didn't like a bit. But overall, the characters, not talking about like all the rare blades, but just your main party setup in this game. How would you relate this to like another, like for you, like what Tales game would you say is this the most similar to in terms of like the characters themselves? Because I can't really think if you know any other RPGs that you could like relate this to from your stance, but for me, I prefer these characters just like by 0.1% over the original Xenoblade, because I love both parties so much, but I gotta give it the Xenoblade 2 because I loved every character and every conversation, every moment with these guys. It just felt like a family to me.
I mean, again, being like at least aware of the original Xenoblade, I kind of mixed because they're a bit too different to a point of I can't really say that you can really give it much of an objective sort of comparison as much as, oh, I just prefer this kind. Because part of the main minor drawback that I feel with Xenoblade 2 is they do kind of fall into a category, and they kind of stick to that a fair bit.
Yeah,
and they don't move out enough.
I
Not
can't-
saying it's a bad thing because, you know,
I mean,
the
we're
whole
fans of
meme
the Tales
oh,
series. We're used to this shit.
I mean, I don't thoroughly agree, but this is a considerable amount more anime than Tales to me, at least.
Yeah, so
but I feel like it's a bit of an overdone judgment that, oh, these characters just follow a cliche, and it's like, oh, that's a sin right there, my dude. Fucking let's get a counter XD and make some big money.
well, I mean, if like cliches are never like if you do them right though, like they can still be standout characters. I mean, may I remind you of My Hero Academia, which is shown in cliche, but it's been refined to a T to where it's just so much fun to watch.
The point, yeah, because the point is that they have more to them than just their cliche. You know,
Exactly.
you give them the depth that they need.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm not saying that Xenoblade 2 really has that much for one.
And I can,
Because in the
I
end, you
understand
can
that.
easily just... I mean, I don't know. I'm so-so with them. Like, I like them, but I'm not going to say, like, oh man, these are great characters that I will prefer to many others. The reasons that I like them are totally different. I like them because Zeke's a toony piece of shit. Poppy's a very good girl, but she's also a robot. And according to current year, thanks to Nier Automata, that is not a problem anymore. Yeah. Pyro and Mithrim kind of mixed.
I personally love them both. Like I
prefer Pyro to Mithra, but that's also probably my preference for short hair kicking in.
For me, both characters are different enough. I mean, Pyra's your typical kind of nice girl. Well, I'd say probably like Fiora a bit, like from Xenoblade 1. Shut up, I'm talking about Tales stuff too, so I'm gonna get mixed up here. And Mithra is your kind of like typical tsundere character in anime, but when they're done correctly, or they're done in a way that that is not like 100% cliche, and they actually do have some depth to them. I loved both of these characters. I probably would pick Pyra over Mithra personally, just because I spent more time with her than Mithra in the beginning of the game.
I wonder why.
but by the end of the game, I enjoyed both characters pretty much right on the same level. Pyra just like 0.1 point more, so.
I feel like, and then there's Drumark's honestly probably one of the weak ones for me of the bunch. I actually no, I'd say Bridget. Never mind.
Yeah,
Bridget's probably the weakest.
Bridget,
Drumark at least has the dank wisdom every now and then.
Like Bridget's little thing where she's wanting to keep a journal of herself. I did like that little arc with her, because that's something that with Blades in this game, they don't keep their memories once they return to their core crystal. So every time they reawaken, it's pretty much just, hey, you are my master, and I will serve you as your blade. And with Bridget, that's been one of the things that she was really scared about, was losing who she was. And with her conversations with characters later in the story, I thought it's a nice little thing to kind of talk about like normal blades versus someone like Pyra and Mithra and Malos who can't lose their memories. And in terms of no, that is said very early on. So yeah,
I believe that the main thing was that they didn't return to the core crystals and they don't lose their memories.
Okay,
They can't lose their memories if they don't return to the core crystals. I don't believe it was ever specifically stated that they'd never lose their memories. It was just implied because blades that return to their core crystals lose their memories, and then they obviously don't. Which is why you find Pyra in that state in the beginning of the game. Despite her driver obviously not existing anymore, or being alive, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something like
that. That and Malos was just kind of around the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's a case of neither died. I don't believe they ever said, and he just can't lose their memories. That just doesn't happen. It's a case of they never died to lose their memories. So let's just keep that in mind. Let's not spread misinformation or potential misinformation.
But going into that, before we leave the main cast, one more party member I do want to talk about. He was easily my favorite one of my favorite party members of the bunch because of just how fucking funny he was, and I still love the name of Poppy QT, and Poppy Cutie Pie. Tora. I fucking love Tora so much in this game. I love his lines.
It's because you can relate to him.
Hey, I don't have no maid fetish or anything like that.
I bet you have a dog fetish though.
No, I don't. But
sure. Oh right, this is public. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm worried, John. Your secret's safe for now.
Yeah. Hey, I donated $30 to the Nekopar OVA, and I still don't regret doing that. I just loved Tora's like whole little thing, and when we get a bit more into some of the stuff that like certain story events that we'll be going over later, I love that you did get to see like his whole like I want to see my daddy pawn again, and I will complete his design so that way he'll come back. Although that's not really the reason I think anyway. He continued to do the research, but Tora's like arc overall in the game like what did you think about it?
I think that his arc was shallow because of literally what you just said. Because you said, oh, it's because he wants to find his dad, but obviously, that wasn't, I don't think that's the reason why he continued the research. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That isn't. It's because he has the same fetishes as his fucking parents. And it's like,
I really enjoyed Tora. He was just a nice bit of comedy relief, as well as like Poppy was.
It's almost like he's a Nopon partner.
Ricky had some little moments in the original Xenoblade where you forget like he is a dad, not Tora, Ricky, but pretty much Ricky I'd say is a mixture of Ricky and Ryan mixed into one with all their comedic elements merged into one.
Yep, Ricky is Ricky and Ryan.
Yeah, I knew I said that. I meant to say Tora, but whatever.
I know.
But I really enjoyed Tora and Poppy. I love their dynamic. I love that Tora did want to become a driver because he couldn't bond with a blade, even though he only got nosebleeds for 3 days versus what other people had to go through.
The thing is, we only see them sort of fry a bit. I genuinely feel like the nosebleed for 3 days is probably worse. Because at least they're out cold. What would you prefer, to be knocked out or to live and suffer?
Well, I mean, in the game, like, it's actual, like, a fountain of blood, so I'd probably take getting knocked out. But
I mean, hey, let's not judge Tora because of this, So I would just a nosebleed. It's like fucking nosebleed before.
But
can you bleed? Can blades bleed?
Yes, they can, because Pyra does.
Yeah, but she's an Aegis. And also, her whole injury thing is because of the bond, as they mentioned.
But let's actually,
which is why they share marks.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, it's a good question.
let's actually get
They
into
just
let's actually get a bit more into the overall story. So the main story is pretty much Rex and gang want to find Elysium and help survive and help make the world a better place and give humans and blades a place to live together. Similar to what Sore and Miklio's overall goal in Tales of Zestiria was, which was for Seraphs and humans to be able to live together side by side, like that.
I mean, there's also a distinguishing difference in the fact that Zestiria, they wouldn't all die if they didn't achieve their goal of bringing them together. They could live just fine. The whole antagonist sort of area of the game is totally separate.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in terms I'm just kind of saying more of a.
I don't think it's a good
narrative.
enough comparison, but close. Sure, why not?
Yeah, sure, why not? Because this is me. But the overall story to Xenoblade 2. Again, this is one of those areas I feel is not as strong as the original, because the original is just. It was so brand new to me when I first played it, unlike any other video game story I'd ever gotten to experience. And this one is kind of like having to step up to that same degree, and it doesn't. But I still really enjoyed the story overall, and even some of the side characters we got to meet, and the world itself with its all little side characters again that you can interact with side quests, and the affinity development of the Titans themselves, I thought was a really interesting thing. But how did you feel about the villains overall? And I kind of really want to stick it to Malos and Jin, because I feel as if the other ones, we can talk about, but for them, I feel they are the more way prevalent of the two. I mean, of course, because they're the main villains, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I like them as characters, I suppose. Malice I don't like quite as much because he is a little too flat in regards to sort of his MO.
Yeah.
But I'm bad, right? I have these impulses for reasons we'll get into later on. That's my whole thing. Which I do kind of appreciate that they go into a little more on that specific fact of why he turned out that way, I guess. But
yeah,
in the end, it's essentially death to all death to everything. Never mind, my bad. I almost said all humans, and he wants everything fucking dead. Jin I liked a lot more. Jin is also just kind of cool. In your teenage angst kind of, I really like this. It's kind of cool.
I mean, you're technically not wrong, but Jin overall, I felt was a much more interesting villain than Malos, but. Like you said,
because
Malice
he used to be the good boy.
Yeah, but like
right.
you said, we get to see why Malice ends up the way he does, pretty much being the polar opposite of Mithra. But with Jin, I really liked getting to see his backstory progress throughout the game, and that was something that I kind of also noticed later on is when the chapter started up, I don't know exactly what chapter it starts doing this more and more, but you start to see more of his backstory, and then when it finally is all revealed of what happened, you really do feel for the guy a bit. And to me, he is, in my opinion, I think he is one of the better villains in the Xenoblade series.
I mean, the thing that I'll sort of throw in there is I don't feel like his backstory is what made him a bit more likable, but more his ambiguity made him more likable. Because he wasn't like Malice in I just want everything dead. When you move on later on, Malice is very dead set and doesn't sort of waver in his will to do anything that involves genocide. Jin, on the other hand, obviously you get to interact with a bit, and he's I am ambiguous. Look at me,
mysterious.
It's almost like I'm written better. Oh, interesting.
Which to be fair, I legitimately thought he was going to be like the final bad dude.
Which is understandable given the fact that early on at the very beginning, do you not sort of isn't it? I feel like you. I feel Jin is the driver.
Yeah, I feel as if Jin is more of the reason that they're wanting to do this rather than it just being Malos's like ultimate
I mean,
goal.
we know the reason they want to do it.
Yeah.
So I disagree with you there, but I feel like the main reason that you think that is because initially Jin comes off as the driver when you're sort of with the two.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
As in, like, the sort of, he's the silent guy who runs the thing. And then obviously you get into it and it's like, I guess it's Malos, I suppose.
And then as for the other three little sideshow characters, as I like to call them, because honestly I feel you could take them out of the story and really nothing of too much value would be lost.
Hey, Mikhail did nothing wrong.
No, Mikhail was fine. Like, out of the three, I feel he kind of had... Like, he didn't get really enough of a backstory explained a bit. Because, like, he had something to do with one of the later villains, as you find out. But, like, it's not really talked about as much. And versus the other two, Petroka and Akos, like, they are very... very one-dimensional. Like, you really could take them out of the story, and I don't think a damn thing would be lost from this at all. And that to me is...
man, you need cool guy who manipulates ether. That's what you need.
Well, I mean, that's
you need cool glasses, boy, dude. Come on.
He's no Julius, all right. But I just felt as if, like, the three of them, like, Mikhail, to me, is the most interesting because he has, like, at least some amount of backstory that makes sense to do what he's doing.
Because I don't fully agree with that because I feel like in current year, just saying, he has backstory is kind of shallow reasoning because you can give anyone fucking backstory.
I know, but
I could go up to you and say, okay, the guy that they're fighting, they killed his brother. Akos has a backstory now. What a great character he is. Which is essentially not necessarily.
Well, I'm just saying out of the three, because keep in mind, like I said, I don't think Petroka or Akos is really like
they were siblings. That's they got backstory there, John.
Yeah, but it's
deep
not really a deep thing. At least with Mikhail, because he had to deal with one of the characters that you fight near the end of the game. I'm trying not to go too much into it.
You don't need to say the position. You can just say what they did. No one knows exactly who it is, John.
Well, if we're gonna go into more of a spoiler territory and stuff like that, try not to do too much about that right now.
I know, you can say what they did as long as you don't name drop anyone. You don't need to say, one of the
guys how he was
end.
one of the survivors from 500 years ago, and how he was experimented on by one of the main villains of the game.
No, you don't even need to say that. You can just say he was experimented on. That's enough.
Okay, there you go.
I know you're bad with spoilers, John. It's been like this for 9 years.
I know, and I'm still trying to get better at it. But yeah, overall, I'd say the villains... I could really take my pick whether the main villain of Xenoblade 1 I would probably say I kind of like Malos a little bit more than the original villain of Xenoblade 1, just because...
I have to kind of disagree.
To me, I could really go back and forth on this, but keep in mind, I beat Xenoblade 1, like, a few years ago versus I just beat Xenoblade 2 like a week ago.
I know. I mean,
so it may be just the more familiarity of the two that I have, because I again have not seen like the ending to Xenoblade 1 in almost 2 years.
I mean, you know who he is and how he sort of links into the story. I feel like to me that's enough.
Okay, then yes, I would probably then say that yes, Xenoblade 1 has a better villain. It's just like I said, I haven't played Xenoblade 1 in
but that's about all you need. Like the main sort of drawback I feel to Malos in regards to being the final villain is that he has been there. He isn't anything like, I don't know, when you It's kind of difficult to say because on one hand it's like, oh, you want an antagonist that's sort of been there throughout. You sort of know this guy, you can sort of grow to hate him, all that sort of thing. But at the same time, it doesn't have the impact that, for example, Xenoblade 1 had with that villain. Because obviously, first, it doesn't have, I suppose, the Tails touch, as we can call it.
Yeah.
Where you have arcs. It's like, okay, what's my end game? I kill Malice. That is your actual end game. And that's kind of a letdown.
I mean, Zestiria kind of had that same thing too, as well.
And that is why it's considerably considered. Got him. Why it's considered the worst game in regards to story. Oh, I wonder why.
I actually think it's one of the better ones, but that's just me.
Story-wise, I don't think so. Character-wise, the thing is, there are too many ways to break down.
We did a whole impressions video on my channel about Tales of Zestiria, if you want to go watch that.
If you want a different opinion than I can probably give now, because I've matured in regards to how I view things rather than just saying I liked it, it was good. I don't know. This is one thing that I don't kind of care much for in reviews, is because there's too much that you can say about, for example, a story, because you can break it down to lore, you can break it down to the general, just sort of beeline to the end. So, okay, here's the through line. Go right through it. This is your story. If it were a book, this is what you'd get. You got your lore shit, you got all your other shit, just a whole thing. As far as story goes, as in the through line, just straight to the end, nothing else, no lore, no any of this other shit, I don't feel like it's that great. Getting into it a bit deeper, that's where I feel like it picks up, because I do like the sort of idea of the sort of life cycle that they have, all this other crap. That's interesting. That's some good shit, Like, lore's nice, I just don't want to dig super deep, so I do appreciate that it's like that, and the heart-to-hearts being voiced.
Yes. Okay, one thing
that really helps, because I don't like reading.
Well, it doesn't bother me a bit, because I'm used to. I mean, I love Dragon Quest, and party chat, there is no voice acting. Yeah, that was one thing that with this game, I'm just so glad they fucking fixed. Seriously.
I mean, I can absolutely understand why they wouldn't do it, because obviously, options. And as far as options go, if I'm not mistaken, they are a lot more limited in Heart-to-Hearts versus Xenoblade 1.
One thing I definitely like over Xenoblade 1 is that you don't have to wait till near the end of the game to get everyone's affection up to the max level just to see certain Heart-to-Hearts at the beginning areas of the game. In this one, if you have the characters, you can go ahead and do it, and I really appreciate that.
I will disagree in regards to thematics, because it's rather charming when it's a case of, oh, okay, we've actually been on this journey, we've connected, all this other crap. Now we go back to the beginning. It's like, oh, remember this
there
place.
are still moments
good
like that in this game, because you do need certain blades that you've unlocked to initiate some of this.
But none of it quite this. Aside from, say, unlocking further in, just sort of out of nowhere, you don't get anything quite as similar to Xenoblade 1. Because in this, it's not so much like, oh, we've sort of come all this way as a group, all this other crap, sort of reminiscing on the journey, versus, hello Blade, have some nice dialogue, which I appreciate, because I do like it when my gacha characters have some depth, rather than just being a nice card on a piece of
I mean, I love
a piece of OLED screen.
I mean, I love the hell out of Wolfric, because he's this I love this type of character type. He's this really big, badass looking monster dude, but he is a very chill dude who loves reading. I love that about him so much.
I don't know, he's not Adnine. Adnine likes books, didn't you know?
Oh yeah,
you see, Adnine's a natural progression from Berseria. We got book skirts, we got book bracelets. We're gradually getting there.
Yeah. Anyway, going.
Did you just have no comments?
More or less.
No comment on book fashion. Do you not read, John? I thought you loved books.
Yes, I do read.
anyway.
I have been reading the No Game No Life light novels, and they're fucking fantastic.
I
Anyway.
bet you wouldn't wear them. So unfashionable.
But anyway, kind of going a bit back to the story though. So we're gonna go ahead and throw up the spoilers now because I do want to get a bit more into just some of our favorite moments. Because like, this game, there are certain story moments, like Jordan said, like if you get straight down to the generalized story without the extra stuff, it's a very standard story. But with all the little lore in it, as well as getting to know some of the characters, if you do the heart-to-hearts and just do more side quests with them, you get attached to them, and that was my phone going off. But, there were definitely a lot of moments in this game that got me a bit. Like, I want to say the one that got me first, it didn't, like, make me tear up, but I kind of saw it coming, was the death of Van Ham. Because
Okay, we're getting into it.
Yeah, we're getting into this. Like I said, we're going into the spoiler territory.
Go ahead. No, I know, go on.
But like I was trying to bond blades with him, and it wasn't working, and I'm like, okay.
John, it's not a case of it wasn't working, it's you don't have the option in the
I know, but I'm not wording it exactly like that, but that's what I mean. And that kind of clued me into it. So when like his final moments in the game were coming up, like to me it was a really cool moment. I loved getting to see him like just put everything on the line at that one last moment to let Rex and Pyra.
Okay, John's at the point. Shut up! It's my time. I really didn't like Van Damme. I really didn't. Frankly, I was very glad that he went out, and I'm incredibly glad that he stayed out. That said, I really love Van Damme because I'm glad that he died. His death and the fact that he went out that way, I was like, yo, that's fucking sick. This guy who I really just didn't care for, he's fucking great now. Death is the way to make someone give a fuck about a character that didn't matter to him in the first place. Unless you do it often, which I didn't, thankfully.
The one thing I was a bit kind of like, I don't really want to say like I felt like it was cliche, but like the way it was kind of like talked about is like when he's trying to tell Rex what his type of war is. I was a bit like, okay, are we just kind of getting into Metal Gear Solid philosophy now?
You see, because this is the thing though, John. You say that because you Metal Gear ever, right? If you've never Metal Geared, then obviously this isn't something that it's been drilled into your head. If you're not. If you're not an intellectual, then you won't understand these concepts. But if you are, on the other hand, then you'll at least appreciate the fact that they kind of did something. Whereas if he said like any other, I mean, it wasn't the deepest thing or anything. But,
no, it's really not.
But I mean, let's be fucking blunt. No video game really is in this sort of genre. It's like, hey John, follow your dreams, fight for your friends. Your friends are important. You're smart. You're loyal.
That is your war. That's about his message in a nutshell. But
because a lot of messages like that are just sort of. My main point is it's kind of a moot point. It's just in general. Go on, sorry.
But kind of moving on a bit further into that, because like this happens when you first arrive in Uriah, and then you're getting to kind of go more. First off, I want to say like getting to the crash landing into Uriah. I kind of felt.
I love Monstro.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, we're in Kingdom Hearts territory. So like,
I didn't, but I was.
I mean,
but now that you say that,
well, I mean, like I know that you can leave whenever you want. You can travel whenever you want. But like at first I didn't really like Uriah because like again I felt like I was really constricted to the mercenary village. But once you get to go across the fucking amazing, I loved it, landscape of Uriah, to when you finally get into the kingdom, I thought was an awesome journey. Like, that to me felt like this is like Xenoblade 1 in a way, where you have, like, I mean, yeah, you had Gormont in the field and all that, and then you had Torrigoth, but you didn't. But it was really more condensed in where you could go. With Araya, you got that big open world area with amazing music. I love Araya's theme so goddamn much, and getting to see like just all these different types of creatures and all the ways you could explore the area. To me, it felt like the swamp area in Xenoblade 1, and that is one of my favorite video game areas of all time.
Now that you say it, though, I can draw at least a parallel between the two in that you start off with your nice sort of lush area, and you go to your swampy area. Frankly, I'm not big on Uraya, primarily because of my initial venture there. Also known as those enemies that hit you from a distance can fucking burn in a fire. I would genocide in an instant. That is some of the most bullshit. And now that we're at this point, God, they are retarded when it comes to actual tutorial. Because I get the meme of tutorials are bad, don't do them. But knowing how to lure an enemy is a very nice thing to be aware of.
I knew this was coming.
Because that's the thing, they don't tell you anything. You didn't know about Overdrive until I told you near the very end of the game. I didn't know about it until James told me, who didn't know until after he finished the game. There are mechanics that aren't common in games that they won't tell you, but they'll tell you about all the basic shit that you probably already know if you've ever played a video game. That's the bad kind of tutorial, where you don't tell people actual differentiating factors and mechanics in your game. You'll explain, you can move. Got him. You thought you would move with your right analog stick this time, didn't you? Oh boy. I don't actually know if they've had a tutorial on movement, but...
I don't think so, thank God.
Yeah, I don't think so, but yeah. How to do a rhythm game. Press a button in time. Great job. How to lure enemy. Run up to them. Pat them on the shoulder, run away. Run up to a wall, knock on it a bit. I don't know.
Actually, since we're kind of going over some of our favorite areas and stuff like that, to me, though, like, my favorite area in the game, just to explore and the look of it, I love the archipelago. But
it's too big.
You see, I play the original Xenoblade, so that shit don't bother me.
No, it's a case of it's too big and there's not enough. Too much of it is just a path. That's my sort of major gripe with it. When most of my journeying in that area is walking along a path and then run through an area past a bunch of enemies and then go to another path.
Don't you like Tales of Xillia?
No. And I mean, I didn't necessarily like that aspect, no.
No, but just to kind of.
Also, those paths are considerably shorter. Let's be honest here.
Oh yeah, but kind of going, kind of like I'm trying to like tie the areas in together with the game itself. I'm trying to remember exactly what was happening after. Because after Vanham's death, you're kind of going towards the archipelago. Another one of my favorite moments with this game.
I'm going to go to Moradane first, dude.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure you do, because you have your full party when you're going to the archipelago.
Yeah, that's right. Which, by the way, Moradane, favorite field theme in the game. Easy. I know I said it was at first Gormont to you, Jordan, but like when I was listening to it a few days ago, it is Moradane. I love that goddamn theme. But like, oh yeah, because Moradane is when you finally get access to learn more about Tora and his dad, and all that, and we get like the big surprise, Bana was a bad guy, which by the way, I fucking loved his boss fight. I was not prepared to fight a giant chibi anime maid girl It was one of the funniest fucking things I have seen in a long ass time.
I was, and it was fucking disgusting.
I actually died to that by something I didn't catch at first, because I was like, he was almost dead, and I was finally gonna do a full elemental combo on him, like when you do the chain attack and you can do an elemental burst, like an elemental like full burst. I was trying to get it set up for that. I got 5 things on him, and I automatically died. I was like, what the fuck killed me? And it just turned out to be there's this thing that pops up in the arena around you that if you don't take it out, that will kill you. I didn't see that because of the angle I was at, though. But,
does that happen? I don't know. I don't remember.
But you probably just attacked him up really quick.
I maybe just good at video games. Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm terrible.
Same. I can't be good at something I don't do often, John.
But like around this time is also when we get like, you know, more info on Tora's backstory. Excuse me.
I can't believe you're just brushing over Baskel.
Okay, who
Best human girl, because there's not much contest. Because
What?
Morag is great. Really nice design. Really dig the sort of regal military outfits.
I really wish you could change her hat. I really one thing about this game I kind of really wish you could do, like you could do in Xenoblade 1, is change the armor. Because Morag, I just kind of felt, okay, we've got to, yeah, she's got a really good design, but, like, she's only without her hat, like, once in the entire game, and it's when it's knocked off of her.
What point is that? Because she didn't get in the hot tub, you didn't have her there.
It happens when, someone is, like, holding her by, like, her collar or, like, neck, or something like that, and, like, says, like, oh, you actually look really good without your mask on, or something like that. I just forget who it was, but
I mean, I only know because my art book has it in, so.
But that was something that I really wish you could do, is because, like, you know, you don't need to make it like the original Xenoblade with some of its armor designs, which looks fucking weird. But I would have appreciated something like costumes, like in the Tale series.
I mean, I'm so, I guess. Like, it would be nice to have sort of minor changes, like, oh yeah, like, remove the hat. Or with Rex, I would say with Rex, maybe, like, remove his, like, little helmet part, but I understand the reason for keeping that in, obviously.
Yeah, for salvaging.
I mean, for Gramps to sit in it when you're moving around, but yeah, sure.
But kind of moving on from that, because I am kind of wanting to get the story part wrapped up before we just go into some extra gameplay stuff and then final thoughts. Because I do have shit I gotta do tonight, but pretty much from that point onward, though, is when you go to like the archipelago and you're getting to learn more about Rex's past, and you get a bit more of the relationship with Pyra and Rex and stuff like that, which kind of going on from there, just to kind of generalize up some of the rest of the story, kind of going a bit more into that. You know, the bad guys almost pretty much accomplish a goal, and then we finally find the way to stop them via an ultimate power-up, where Nia gets ultimately cock-blocked. Which, that cutscene to me is like, God damn, Rex, you dumbass.
Nah, man, Rex is a savage.
Let me ask you this, like,
I bet he'd dab on Nia.
What did you think of Nia as a blade?
Yeah, it was nice.
Like,
given that my attack girls were all cannons, I don't have much of a complaint for having a sword. They were all way too slow. Also, John, I appreciate the one scene where it's alluded to that she was actually a boy, because we all know that traps are your fetish.
No, they're fucking not. I don't like Felix.
But John, you remember that one night?
I know there's one in this game, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Where they're in the bathtub. And it's just like both of them.
No, I never got that from them. But like, I knew there was
dude.
something. No, I knew there was something.
That's the way it goes. It's the place your mind's supposed to go instantly. Oh, she's a dude.
No, that did not come up.
It is current, John. It's current. Yeah, come on. Come on, John.
I know we got Catherine Full Body Experience coming out later this year, where so many people have told me that's what the third girl is. But come on, we can wait a bit more. Yeah, I actually going into that scene a bit, going to when Nia and them are fighting in the underground, which I fucking hated that area so much.
I do appreciate that they left Tora intact.
Yeah, Tora. Like honestly, there's a point in the game where you have to go find like the third form of Pyra and Mithra.
No, the third blade.
Yeah, the third.
Not a form,
blade.
just a blade. And not of them the third Aegis blade.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Because obviously they're aware of there are 3 Aegises, but one of them, as mentioned later, fucking no.
But
he dead.
Just play as Tora for that section because it's not worth going to as any other character. Because
the thing is, the only thing really is the chains. That's all I noticed. You only get one blade combo rather.
Yeah, and I just hate that. I mean, I like that it gives an example. Like it limits you and it explains why it's like that. You know, it's just really goddamn annoying, especially when you got enemies who like to pop out, especially unique monsters who like to pop out and then kill your ass.
Maybe you need to get good. I mean, while we're in a good example. Artificial blades are great. I don't know why regular blades exist at this point. What is the drawback to an artificial blade? Because as far as I'm aware, because of the way that Poppy talks about it, power-wise, there's really nothing other than you need maintenance, which is like the only things they mention is like don't rust. You don't rust and fucking fall apart, which I mean you could easily do yourself.
Maybe it's just like in terms of money and stuff. I mean, yeah, I know Bana does creates all the all the artificial blades, but no, I mean what I just in general want to know the downside to artificial blades. There's really nothing. Which
is a glaring flaw as far as I'm concerned.
Keep in mind there is DLC coming out,
it's
so we could see something about that.
I doubt it, but because it's like realistically, there is no real reason Rex can use Poppy.
Well, what about their ether furnace?
Yes, this is the thing. Their ether furnace is apparently infinite energy. That according to powering her up is like you get a jolt of energy and bam. They never go into any more detail about how it's made. If there are like specific materials that are incredibly hard to get. And frankly, a lot of people don't give a fuck because a lot of people don't care about going this deep. Because why would they? It's like, okay, it's just a thing that works. You don't need to explain all the mechanics in something. It is nice, and I am curious, but again, doesn't really matter in the end. But at the same time, it's like, well, what's the fucking point? Make more of her. Why don't we just bring in fucking Lila, whatever her name is? Was it Lila? Lily? I don't fucking know. I
mean, if you really want to get into that, that's kind of what the Mechon are, more or less. Because going in from after the artificial blade stuff, and you're kind of you're learning more and more about the ultimate what the main what Malice plans to do with all these artificial blades and how he intends to use them. They're more or less miniaturized Mechon, which I thought was a kind of really cool throwback to the first game, and I know
design-wise, sure.
I mean, we will get into the whole little thing because we're almost there.
I mean more so it's a case of a Mechon is like just a robot. I mean, even then I disagree because of literally what you just said. Actually, do you remember what a Mechon is? Because I now thoroughly kind of disagree. Though I guess not all of them. I suppose that's the point.
Not all of them, but
I mean, at that point, it's like it's a robot. It's not like the quote Mechon that you would think of being the more unique aspect of the Mechon that differentiates them from. It's a robot, which is like, what's an artificial blade? It's a robot. It's like, it's really cool that it's like a miniaturized. It's a robot. There's not much you can do. Artificial blade.
But after they find the third blade and everything, we finally do find Pyra, and she's um, um, being held captive. So they finally go to rescue her, and pretty much at this point, the rest of the game is going about onwards to Elysium to beat the characters there. But before that, we finally get access to the third form of Pyra, which is broken as hell, and AKA how you beat the final boss in less than 5 minutes.
Okay, John, I'm gonna correct you here. The way you beat the final boss, there isn't really much way to do it without. Because the thing is, once you get to the halfway threshold, he wipes you. Because you have two artificers come down. They will just essentially distract you, and you can't really do much. There's not much you can do without using the third form. Actually,
I got really close.
I was gonna say you can do it with like a chain attack, which is what I did. I did both.
Yeah, same.
It's like, oh, okay, that's what I did. It wasn't that tough for me because I think it was like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll just fucking nuke him halfway through.
Well, I was trying not to do that.
Never. Cause the thing is, it's because his elements reset halfway through.
Yeah.
Or not half, like a third of the way through. That's the main drawback, because you need to rush to get that shit back up in order to really do it.
So, we haven't really talked about him, but what did you think about Malice's driver? Because, throughout, up to that point in the game, you're finding more about the...
John, we're in spoilers. Do you not remember his name? Or?
It starts with an A, I just can't... Oh, Maldus, there we go. Yeah, I just couldn't remember his name at the time.
That's fine.
The Praetor, and you get to find out also his backstory when you're kind of learning more about Jin around this time of the game after you get the third form of Pyra. I'll be straight up honest, I kind of thought he was very forgettable.
I mean, I feel like he was easy to figure out from the get-go.
I wouldn't say from the get-go, because when you first meet him, I did legit think he was a good dude. It's just when you do see what
I disagree. I saw his appearance. I disagree with you there. I judged the book by its cover, and I was correct. This game has very poor morals. It's teaching me bad lessons about judging people, but no, I don't know. I kind of had it relatively figured out in that regard, though I don't know. He wasn't great. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I kind of really wish he wasn't a bad guy. Because, yeah, I know his backstory is
I disagree purely because of the link to the actual bad guy.
Well, I would have liked it if he got pretty much, I don't know if it's because if he's a different species or something like that where he can live for a long time, or if he was
John, they've said that's exactly it. That is in the game. I kind of
wish though that you could have seen he realized, oh man, Malos came from me. I'm the one who caused this, so I'm gonna spend the rest of my life, building society back to be better. I kind of wish they really would have done that with him.
Okay, this is the thing. He has a god complex. I don't feel like that's a path for him. No, I can't say that I agree with you on this point. Because if you have a god complex, you're not going to go, oh, this thing came from me. This bad boy who wants to kill everything like I do came from me. Oof, I'm appalled. I better change my ways. Whereas his whole goal is, this architect fucked me up. It's all his fault, I want to kill that motherfucker. Take his place. It's gonna be good.
He just
the god complex thing. I kind of appreciate.
He really does remind me a lot of the Fawn, the fake Fawn Master from Tales of the Abyss. I can't remember his name. It's not Ion. It's the other dude. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Sync.
The one who becomes the purple demon-looking thing. I forget his name.
John, how late into the game are we talking?
Shit, it's gonna bug the shit out of me. Here, I'll look it up while we're going on a bit more. You get to find so Mothra, and you get to see how the blades and stuff are made is where we're at. That was really
wait. Did you say Mothra?
It's something like that. I may be mispronouncing that. Sorry.
Because I don't think we're talking about Godzilla right now.
Well, that's what's popping in my head. I just forget. Getting to learn how blades and stuff like that are what they come from, and you have to fight that really annoying boss who can change their element and stuff. Like that was one.
Honestly, I don't remember many annoying bosses.
He was just really annoying for me.
Which one?
The one that has like the giant like wrecking ball for a hand. It's the more or less a shit demon, because I don't have a way to describe them any other way. The person who was trying to stop Klaus, that was her. When you fought her.
Oh yeah, no, that one. Near the end of that,
it's not a hard boss. It's just kind of annoying because it will summon enemies and stuff, and I hate bosses that do that.
Hey man, ads are fine. No, I don't know. I was fine, honestly. I didn't have much problem with it personally, at least. The part that got me with that area was trying to run through, but some of the enemies have knockback. Just like initiate. Okay, that's one major flaw of the game I'm going to go into right now.
What, the blowdown stuff?
No, the hitbox in general. I can vaguely understand why, but when an enemy uses a ranged attack and shoots...
Okay,
and,
hold on, I found the dude.
It lands 15 meters behind me and still damages me? No, I don't feel like that's anything but...
That was in the original Xenoblade 2, so again...
I'm not... John, don't use a previous game's flaws as an excuse for them existing in this.
Oh no, it doesn't mean I like it, for the record.
I'm not saying that you have to like it, I'm saying that it's a flaw and it's bad.
By the way, the dude's name I was thinking of from Tales of the Abyss was Grand Maestro Mose.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Shrug.
But yeah, like that whole area itself was just kind of like it was like okay, hold on, I gotta tell the story. So when you find the Cliffs of Mothra, it looks pretty much like an abandoned Tales of Xillia, not Tales of Xillia, god damn it, Xenoblade Chronicles X city. Because in that game you had like the whole futuristic city where the human survivors lived at. When I saw that, I just had the biggest what the fuck thing I had ever seen until I got to the World Tree, where it was like 10 times worse. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of that story. Yeah, it wasn't a big one, but I just remember like the beginning of chapter 8, I was just literally like, what? What happened to the Cloud Sea? Why am I in Tokyo? When did I enter Drakengard? No, but yeah, so pretty much after that, you're climbing the rest of the World Tree, and at this point, the end of the game's coming up. Final guy, evil dudes are dying left, right, now, and we finally meet the architect, who turns out to be Klaus from Xenoblade 1, which like you said at the final boss of Xenoblade 1, he talks about his other half in an alternate dimension because
I'm not saying at the end of Xenoblade 1 he did. I said he didn't. Which is part of the issue, because obviously it's understandable sequel retconning. Who gives a fuck at this point,
Yeah, but
can't account for everything.
Yeah,
the thing that I did say is at the end, while you're on your way to the final boss, you do hear on the other side. I believe, I don't know the exact line or at what point, but I'm pretty sure it's Shulk saying tonight, like something along the lines of "Today we fell a god," and it's like obviously the part that it leads up to fighting. So it's like, and he's like, my time draws near. It's like, okay, that's your most thorough connection, and assuming that it's like not time and space and just space, and it's like, okay, these are like actual parallel games, which is kind of neat, but it doesn't really matter.
Anyway, so
I hope that if there's a Xenoblade 3, they don't give him back, because that's a bit too far. I was in thirds the whole time, you see.
Although half my body is in another dimension.
My third body is my stand!
Oh.
Slippery nips!
But,
It's my favorite stand.
anyway, just to kind of close out the story, because I know I'm rushing it at this point, but we've been at this for almost an hour and a half already. You kill Malos and all that, and Rex has his answer about what he truly wants for the people of All Rest, and and all that. So the final boss has been defeated. Conduit, which is like the giant power source for the entire world, is gone, so the world is more or less about to fucking explode. And there's one way to save it, and Pyra's the only one who knows what it is. And this scene got me. Like there is no other scene in this entire game, with all the comedy, with all the sad moments, and like just moments in this game in general, that got me like this one did. Although the scene where Rex, it's at the end of the game after you fight the rest of the party members, and he's eating food with Pyra and Mithra, and he's like crying because he doesn't know what's going on. Like it kind of got me a bit. But this, so she says like there's one way to stop it. There's a control room 3 floors down. So they go, and you have this dramatic music playing. Everyone's like, oh man, what's gonna happen to us? We don't know. And they open the doors, and it's an escape pod room. I should have seen this shit coming. I didn't. I got like that biggest like in my heart like no sort of thing, and it legit like got me. And the whole cutscene where Rex is trying to convince them, hey, I need to save her. I'm the only one who can save her. And he shoots his like hook across the thing, and he can't get it. That whole scene just gets me, like, just thinking about it, seriously. And he has to finally let Pyra go. Now, I know you're not a big fan of the whole thing at the end because you think it's a massive cop-out, and I will give you points, but I'm still happy of what happened. So, the only way to survive, because at the beginning of the game, Rex and Pyra bonded over the core crystals she had, so she gave him the rest of her life force, more or less. And she stops the world tree from colliding, and the whole world more or less resets like at the end of Xenoblade 1. And, that got me. Like, it legit got me. Especially, like, I hate it so much when games who have, like, this, Pyra and Rex and Mithra all have this, like, relationship that goes beyond friends or even comrades. Like, they do have feelings for each other. They do say that. It's just when they don't confess it by the end of the game, I'm usually very. I know it. What does do you mean? I know when she's in
what do you mean, John? Rex says he loves everyone.
No, but like Zeke is the one to outright say it for him. Is that's the woman you love, and like at the end of the game when everyone is escaping, which by the way, that whole escape sequence is fucking bullshit. They would have burned up in the atmosphere. Like when they pop out of the core crystal again, you have Pyra and Mithra now being two separate beings. Or wait, that happens after the credits. But anyway, the world is reset and they're in this new world, and they finally found Elysium. The song that plays called One Last You. Like, I was already in tears for this from the ending of this game. The song itself, knowing now what it represents and whose perspective it is that the song is talking about. I was at Ichiban Con a few days ago, at the time of this recording, and I was driving to go see a friend of mine before I left, and I listened to that song, like, for the first time, like, all of its lyrics, with none of the emotional baggage I was already having from the ending of this game. And hearing the full song lyrics, I legit was on, like, tearing up in my car just thinking about this game. Like, it's very rare that a game or anime, movie, whatever, has a song that if I listen to it, I get emotional like that. And this one is one of the very few. The last time this happened is when I watched Little Busters. And that's my second, like, on the same pedestal as my favorite anime of all time. And it's the song called Far Away. Like, that song got me so bad the first time I actually listened to it. And One Last You is no exception. And, it's a song that means a whole lot to me, and one of the reasons why I consider now Xenoblade 2 to be, to me, a game that was worth every hour and second I put into this long journey with these characters, and I really loved it for all of its flaws, willing to look past so much stuff that, yes, I know is flawed, but I still love this game so much and is easily in my favorite games of all time list. And that's why the ending, when Pyra/Mythra came back, I was legitimately happy. And how much I can't tell you, I love the ending, the start screen when you beat the game. But that's enough of me praising it, Jordan. I know you have like very opposing opinions on that.
Huge cop out, 2 out of 10. No, like, there's so much fucking wrong with it. I'm gonna preface by saying I don't hate the game by any means. I like the game. I kind of like the story, and I'm not saying that I'm incredibly disappointed that Pyra's still around. I'm saying that the way they handled it's fucking terrible, and they could have done way better. Because the fact that she comes back not only in 2 separate forms, which already kind of fucking bullshit. The fact that it just sort of happens that, oh, by the way, I'm 2 people now. Now you can insert some fucking dirty shit. I don't know, dude. I don't know what people do. Here's a new book. It's called "Is It Okay to Fuck a Blade?" Answer: according to the game, probably. Yeah, it's just such a fucking cop out. I don't necessarily wish she stayed dead. But the other thing is, and I got this from you mentioning it, while she was trapped, why not just fucking kill herself, send the core crystal to him in the first place, and then just pop back with apparently all the memories. And now you have 2 blades you can use, Rex. The whole game would be fucking so easy now.
To be 100% honest, what I thought was going to happen... when they popped out of the core crystal at the end, I thought it was going to be Rex as like an old man, and then they would, or like an older person, not an old man, but like in the game, he's like 16, something like that, and then he would probably be in his late 20s, and then the core crystal would reactivate. That's what I thought was going to happen. But then you don't see them pop out. It would just been like, the core crystal has energy again.
Yeah. Like, I mean, something more along those lines would be better. Like, and if they were to, say, make an epilogue chapter for the season passing, that'd be neat. And if in that regard, it was like, oh, a bit in the future, Rex has actually moved on, and then they cover like, oh, hello? Question mark. Who you? Ooh. And then, you get like a nice little fucking, I don't know, a nice little romp through New World with your former partner when you've apparently moved on and started to fuck another blade. Nia probably, I don't know. Rex is too young for Morag, the easy best girl. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. The ending could have been handled better, is more or less the main part. Or at the very least, what I want is if they absolutely had to do it that way, then A, don't have them be 2 separate people now, just keep it as it was, and B, have them actually forget. Because that to me is the biggest cop out of it all, is the fact that, oh, we kept our memories, when all this time it's like the only reason we still have memories is blades in general, as far as I'm aware, because I don't precisely know, but both Aegises have been alive the whole time, even though Mythra was, or Pyra-Mythra was sort of like, sleeping for a long time, still alive, didn't return to core crystal, thus didn't lose memories. And as far as I'm aware, all blades do. It's not like, oh, Aegis's really are the most magical. And she still functions like a regular blade regardless, because, she returned to Core Crystal, came back. Which is fair. That part I don't have as much of a problem with, regardless of if I should or not. It's the fact that she still keeps her fucking memories. Or at the very least, sort of instantly thinks, oh, I know this man. I've clearly had much of a history with all of these people, which is why I'm here. They didn't steal this crystal on their way back from plundering the old world and moving into their new one or something. Have some stakes, Have some fucking, negative and something. Just, it would have been nice. As far as the shallow, soppy piece of shit that I would be inside if I weren't so jaded, I'd probably like it. If I were more like John and didn't really care about that sort of thing, yeah, I probably would. I'm glad that, in the end, things worked out, that she's not fucking dead. But they could have handled it in, a more sort of a... Just a better way. And that's the main sort of takeaway, is they could have done better with it. Like a lot of things, you can improve. They've improved a lot since, previous games, I suppose. I know that I certainly, from the beginning, was, really off-put by the aesthetic, but it grew on me. At the first reveal, at least. I don't actually remember how much has changed since then. But, I do like it aesthetically. It's kind of off-putting that, so many characters are so different because they have different designers in regards to regular blades. Which reminds me, I'm going to do a little timestamp for you. And since we're past spoilers, and I do want to go in a little bit about just other blades.
Okay. This just before we go into that, because I kind of want to make this the last segment of the whole impressions. Quick round of thoughts of Sablagene and Tiger. Sablagene is fun. I really enjoy that. That's a way to help build up your towns and stuff like that. And it also will help you make money very quickly, so it really gets you more involved with the game's overall world and how the economics work. And Tiger is just kind of okay to me. I'm not really that big of a fan of it.
Yeah. The mini-games are okay. Kind of wish there were a bit more. Not as in, more to them necessarily.
Okay, moving on.
A few more
to the blades.
Oh, hell yeah. Right. One thing I don't like with them is, I always like, in gacha games as well, fun fact, or rather I always like, I don't like it in things like Fire Emblem Heroes. But getting different artists on board to do it, that's pretty neat, except when the aesthetic so thoroughly clashes. Because Vess is genuinely the least appealing character I've seen in a long time. Because she was designed by someone who did a lot of older stuff. And that's it. It's an old design in a slightly more modern anime aesthetic. It's like, oh, okay, here's 80s, 90s anime aesthetic. Let's have Vess fucking fit that, and then
Okay, sorry about that. We were talking about Vess. Jordan's net cut out.
Oh, hell yeah. So, one thing that I do like with Blades, and also don't like, is when it's a bunch of different artists. You get some nice diversity, different ideas, all that sort of thing. What I don't like is when the aesthetics clash so fucking hard. Because Vess is fucking garbage. Fucking the worst design in the whole game as far as I'm concerned. And I don't like it a fair few. But the fact that she looks... for example, her face is so fucking long. Really gives off that fucking sort of 80s, 90s aesthetic. But then the rest of the game is 2010s sort of anime aesthetic. And it's like, these don't belong. With Malice and those guys, I can kind of get past it. They don't... I initially really didn't like Mikhail and Petrona, whatever the fuck. I don't know, dude. Those two were really fucking horrible when I first saw them. I eventually grew to them. Vess just doesn't work. Mm-mm. It really doesn't. Vess is the oh fuck. What's the sort of America dude from Fire Emblem? From I guess you didn't really play much of Fates.
I played only Birthright. I never played Conquest.
I think I mean, oh yeah, I guess he wouldn't have been in there because he was that side. Nah, damn. Yeah, I don't know then. But no, basically in Heroes, there's like, oh, you got all this nice sort of rendered, and then there's just really, really flat-colored American sort of looking, sort of really pop cartoon aesthetic, and it's like disgusting. It is horrible. I'm gonna fucking send you a picture right now. It's so horrible. You talk about Blades for a little while I find it.
Well, as for me, some of my personal favorite Blades, in terms of design, I really like Wolfric. I really do love his design. Please tell me I'm not the only one who thinks Gorg looks like a JoJo character.
He is the Pillarman, yes.
Like, I could have sworn, like, I picked him out of, like, you know, the grab bag of blades that you can get. And, I was like, this motherfucker looks like Johnny Joestar mixed with something else of fucking the JoJo guy. I forget his damn name, alright? I'm tired.
Yeah, you mean Araki, right?
Yeah, Araki. I was trying to almost say Akira, but I was like, no, it's not fucking Akira. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
Disgusting. Fire Emblem Heroes wants one thing, and it's fucking disgusting. It's called diversity. I mean, the thing is, by the sounds of it, you played with no cute girl blades, which is revolting.
For my usual setup, I did was for Rex, either Pyra or Mithra, because they were my most used blade.
Okay, John, let me just deviate a second. You can't swap them out.
Well, no shit, but like...
No, that's what I mean. Oh, they're my most used blade. No, you can't get rid of them even if you wanted to.
Well,
that's why they're in there.
I never wanted to, though. That's the thing, because I enjoyed using them that much. But it was usually on Rex, because I really only played as Rex during this entire game. I didn't really try out any of the other characters.
I tried out a few very briefly, but I mean that's also just me in games.
And I would have Ursula, and most of the time near late game I had Adeline on Rex. So it was Pyra, Ursula, and Adeline, and then other times I would switch out Ursula with Percival, and if not that, I would be using what's the name? Well, Gorg, of course, but then I would use like a gate. And that's about it. I didn't really draw that many rare blades with Rex. I kept trying to, but didn't get shit. And for Nia, I would always have Vess on her with Dromark, and switch between Wolfric and
it's a suboptimal play right there.
What
So that's a suboptimal play because you're putting Wolfric on him, unless he's a healer, which I'm pretty sure he's not. Fun fact: the best healer, objectively. Such a good boy.
What's the name of that?
Yo, Boris though, fucking easiest boy to to get affinity with.
I know.
Feed him so much. I didn't bother with that until like the very end. I'm like, maybe I should because he is my best healer. And then I did. I'm like, oh, nice. He was like, hell yeah, love soup.
For Zeke, of course, Pandoria. But then I forget her name, but it's the blade that is like she has like an ice spear, has like blue hair. I can't remember. It starts with a P. I know that. I just can't remember her name. And the king looking dude.
Oh hell yeah!
I just forget his name.
I love Dagas.
I
am assuming you're on about Dagas.
Yeah. For Morag, of course, Bridget, and then we're the bravest of the brave, dude. The Warriors of Justice guy, and I kept Deborah as on.
Godfrey is so fucking worthless. Holy shit! Like his field skills are meaningless.
And And then, Tora has Poppy QT, and Poppy QT Pie. So
I'm as much of as I appreciate the meme, I'm always kind of torn with Poppy's naming.
I love Poppy QT and QT Pie. I just love
like I love the meme, but at the same time I'm like, eh. Especially being aware that it's not even that great, frankly, but like the Japanese basically just being like a shortened version of like a school year, which makes sense. But I mean, both of them aren't unnecessarily great. But hey, Poppy is a good girl. Please, no bully.
But
no one has Cosmos. Why would they?
No joke. Throughout this entire discussion video, I had Xenoblade 2 on, trying to like get blades. I had 64 core crystals. I now have 15. I never drew a rare blade.
Yeah. Welcome to Gacha Hell.
Yeah, that's more or less why I stopped trying to get them all.
Oh, I've been fine. I didn't even grind that much. I just have natural luck, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not enough to get Cosmos. No one has that much luck. No one man has that much luck. I mean, I'm sure someone in the world did. Just statistically speaking,
So I guess kind of like going into...
But Finch, though. Finch is such a good boy. Yo, don't diss Finch. Finch is a girl. Finch is a girl and a bird, but such a good boy. Now, like my for the most part, mine was Finch and Florin, though I never really switched to them because Finch was like slow. I mainly kept them for like field skills. Later on, I did put Adenine on Rex because he was always on Morag, or she was always on Morag. And then I gave him Zenobia, the fucking coolest one. Fun fact, same artist that did Zestiria.
Oh,
Fun
awesome.
fact over. Yeah, no, if I would recommend just browsing something like the wiki and finding out who did what, because it's pretty neat. Fuck, what was it Gorg again? I don't know who that is. Someone's wife. Hang on a second. What was it? Oh no, yeah, the wife of director of Xenoblade. That's why. Director's wife. Whoa, hold the fuck up. Oh, okay. I was extremely concerned because I see date of birth and it's like 19-something 6, and I was like, is this motherfucker a year younger than me? I was like, no, of course not. That would be retarded. Hello, I direct video game at the age of 15. What a fucking baller. But yeah, no, Blades are great. Honestly, like, I do really appreciate the gacha system. I understand the frustration with it, and to an extent I wish that, like, post-game did have like a more reliable way of just completing it, I suppose. I just sort of iron them out and all that, but it's really nice to have that sort of random element. Which, as you said, like, early on, part of the interesting part of talking with other people about playing it is, what blades do you have? Because obviously it can lead to a different sort of playstyle. Literally didn't get a good healer, and frankly I never equipped non-rare blades unless I really needed a field effect. Because hey man, there's only so many rare blades, not all of them can have fucking Earth Mastery. Yeah, no, blades are great. It's a great little feature. I'm glad that it's not paid. Insert shameless random bit of bullshit about video games. The fuck, I love the video game industry, am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Fellow
heck
gamers.
Yeah, I played video game.
Heck yeah. That's my favorite meme. It's not even a meme.
But anyway, kind of like to wrap this all up here.
I'm dragging on for your suffering.
I know. Xenoblade 2 is one of in my opinion, it is the best exclusive on the Switch.
I can't argue with you. Because I don't care for the others.
Well, you're missing out on Odyssey, honestly, but
not
you're not.
Thing.
Yeah, I know it's not your thing, but like to me,
You can't
Xenoblade
miss out
2,
if it's not your thing.
Xenoblade 2 is a game that if you love JRPGs, definitely try it out. It is just a phenomenal game to me from beginning to end. I love the characters. The music's phenomenal. The story is very fun all the way through, I think.
One thing that I will just quickly squeeze in here, I really appreciate the execution of actual cinematic cutscenes.
Yes, because the original Xenoblade did have that as well.
One thing that I will say is a lot of people are going on about Land of Lustrous being a great 3D anime. I feel like Xenoblade 2 should actually win the award for best 3D anime last year. Not only is it much more interactive, but it is way more of an anime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna deny, there are definitely the anime things in this game, but if that's
it's almost like they put the effects in on purpose. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Shocking.
But yeah, I really love this game. And definitely, if you didn't try the original, give this game a shot. I really think you're going to go in and be pleasantly surprised with what you'll have.
My recommendation is don't buy a Switch for it. The Switch isn't worth the cost right now. Do pick up the collector's edition if you're into that. Because obviously it might sell out sometime. And the art book's very nice. As far as you don't really get many spoilers from it, honestly. I flicked through, and at worst, the biggest spoiler that you're going to get is seeing Cutie Pie, which I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a third form, but I don't know what it looks like. And it's like, oh, I called it guns. Well, I guess I know what it looks like now. And boy, that's my fetish. It's not a scarf, but it's close enough. That's my review of Poppy Cutie Pie. Design-wise, I actually really like them. As art boy, I do appreciate the art book as well, in the sense of some of the turnarounds. Really nice, light little profiles. Kind of, to an extent, very, very limitedly makes me want sort of a 2D animation for it at somewhere along the line.
I think.
But at the same time, I don't care
at
all.
I really do think we might get something like that in the future.
I disagree, but I also really don't care, because 3D done right is good. You don't need 2D. Frankly, Persona 5 is literally the biggest testament to that fact.
Yeah.
Because Persona 5's 3D sort of work, great, really nice. It cuts to 2D. They don't use it like you should use 2D, which is to do things you can't really do very easily in 3D. Whereas instead of they run down the stairs, and it's A1 being bad A1. The Persona 5 anime is going to be garbage, just like all the other Persona animes as far as production goes. I'm not going to talk about story or adaptation because I'm not one to judge.
Right.
But also, I don't really feel like I would want that from Xenoblade, purely because of what it is. And just how well executed they actually do 3D animation in game. Though obviously, probably takes a lot longer than it would to do 3D anime, I guess.
All right. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this very long discussion video.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, and
it's almost like watching a. Hang on. It's almost like watching a Let's Play of the game, but a 45th of it.
Yep. So. Anyway, be sure to subscribe to Daybreak if you have not already.
Smash that motherfucking like button.
Alright, anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it is that we upload.
Don't smash the like button, though. Don't smash. Becky, don't let me smash.